testing. 1, 2, 3. Where's the microphone? Up here. Showing green, drop frames, Wi-Fi, seizing, sizing. Yes. Very small batch today. What was happening was I was doing this last night, a batch of paper for a bunch of our printers, for Suga-san, for Tsushima-san, and for Yamamoto-san. I realized I had nothing for tomorrow morning's stream. This is today's stream. I had nothing. So what I did was I saved a batch of this size, and I saved a batch of the paper from last night. So I don't have a whole lot of paper this morning. It's just, I don't know, a dozen sheets or so, maybe 10 sheets. So it won't be a long stream this morning. It'll be, whatever, half hour or maybe, who knows how long it's going to take. But I saved this from last night so you can get a chance to see what's going on. And I tried testing this morning about a half an hour ago, moving around different places, and this goddamn video thing won't let me move the computer. As soon as I move it the slightest bit, the video signal drops. So we're going to have to sit here. Hopefully you can see me dip, I think. You can see me brush, I think. You can see what's going on. But before I do that, I have to do something else. I have to get pressed here. We've got paper from our usual supplier in Fukui Prefecture. I've got some test paper from the new guy, Sawaki-san. And we've been testing this under different circumstances, and we found out that the thick paper he's prepared for us really is a bit weak in that the fibers pull off quite a lot. Yeah, 90-minute stream. Ha, 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 ha. Whatever, I gotta stop talking about that kind of thing. The thick paper he prepares for us, the fibers do tend to pull up a bit more than the traditional paper we've got. So what we've been trying to do is, to test it, is this. I don't know if you've seen me do this before. We get another tool here. This may be a first for Twitch. I don't know, for us streaming here. We have a little etching press. We don't do any etching here at Mokuhankan, but what we do use this for is calendaring our paper. So I'm going to, for the first few minutes here, I'm going to take some of the Sawaki paper and I'm going to calendar it in this press. It's already beautifully smooth and flat, but we're going to make it tighter. Pasta maker. Okay. It's just your typical home and garden etching press. We got it from Dick Blake, I think, about 15 years ago. He said we, it was I back then. I used it for this same thing. I've never done any etching. I'm not interested in that, but I do need to make my paper smooth and flat. Yeah, forcing the fiber into a tighter mat. This is before we do the sizing. Now what I've got just the bare metal plate of the etching press, and I'm using a standard, it's about 5mm thick felt. And because the base plate gets striated from the roller underneath, we've got a clear file, a normal plastic clear file placed inside. And it's dead. The paper has been nicely pressed, smoothed. It's beautifully calendared, and now I think it's a much denser mat when we do the sizing in a few minutes. Just 3 sheets for this. This is all for a test run of paper for Yamamoto-san. Parties, parties, parties. Okay, that's it. Okay, here's the story. This is a test paper for a test run. We're going to be making this print. I think you know the story. I know Ayumi-san, our young star printer, being pregnant, has gone now. Today she's coming for a visit with her husband to do the final goodbyes. She's now out. No idea how many years it'll be before she comes back into this building again. She printed this for us a few months back from the Doi Hunger blocks. And we really have huge demand for this. And what we're going to try is Yamamoto-san, our young printer who's been working with Kubota-san as an apprentice. He's never done any Shin Hanga before. He's always just done ukiyo-e. He's been doing the Great Waves for us. But he's eager to give this a try, and we're eager to try it with him. So what we've got is a batch of paper here. I've got 3 sheets of the new Sawaki-san paper, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sheets of the traditional paper from Iwano-san. I'm going to size this morning, hang it up, and then he's going to pick it up tomorrow for a test run of this. I'm not sure if this is the first time I've done sizing on Twitch. I don't think so. I think we came up here once a few months ago on a scrambled bit of a strange stream one night, but today we'll try and do it a bit more properly. And the procedure is going to be this. I've got some size left over from last night's work. We have a hotel food warmer here. At the moment, on this left side, there's nothing. On the right side, we have hot water. It's all heated from the bottom. We have hot water, and I've got the leftover 1.5 liters from last night, which will be enough to do these sheets. So you won't get to see me make the size this morning. I'm sorry, I can't do everything in one stream. So this is the glue mix. It's 44 grams of Nikawa glue per liter, along with 6.2 grams of alum per liter. And the Nikawa glue is for the purpose of holding the fibers of the paper together so it doesn't pull apart. And the alum is for the purpose of, where's my little scoop? Sorry, excuse me. And the alum is for the purpose of making it so the pigment doesn't, what's the word, when the pigment spreads out beyond the borders where it's supposed to be. The alum stops that, so I'm told. And that's our experience too. When there's too much alum in there, the pigment doesn't even go into the paper. And we have our sizing brush, our last brush that we were able to get from the Miyagawa company before they stopped making these. What we've been doing too, I think we've seen this in a previous stream. Because we can't get any brushes anymore bigger than this, we've been making our own. Aoyama-san here, he bought 2 smaller brushes, rigged up a piece of plywood, patched them all together, and it works pretty well. There's a little bit of a line comes in the middle of the section, but I won't be using that one today. What's that sound? Oh, okay, let the brush sit for a minute there. And we've got the hotel warmer, the soup warmer set to 60 degrees. That's 60 centigrade, of course. We cooked the size itself yesterday at a slightly higher temperature than that. And I kept it in the fridge overnight in that tea bottle. And now it's warmed up to 60 degrees. And what I'll be doing is this. As I said, here's this paper. I've got a board ready with a plastic sheet on it. We're going to work on here one sheet at a time. I'm going to do the front surface of the paper first. The paper slips on the board, so a light bit of tape just to hold it so the first piece doesn't slide. So I'll do the first side of this first. One sheet, place, dip, one sheet, place, dip, one sheet. When the first surface is done, I'll flip it over onto a second board and then pull the sheets back one at a time and do the back side. And then it has to sit 5, 10, 15 minutes. Maybe I'll go get a cup of tea or something. You can sit and do your homework for a while. And then after 15 minutes or so, we have to hang it up. And I've got a problem there that the hanging up goes on in the next room, and I cannot move this setup while we are live. There's no way that plug is going to hold on. So I'll shut the stream down at that point, move my gear into the next room, and start it up again after about 5 or 10 minutes. Did I find info on that Utamoto print yesterday? I don't remember Utamoto. There was 3 left over at the end of the day that I still haven't had time to look for. I just packed it up and got busy with my work. Somebody's received their owl. 5 days. I can't guarantee that. It happens sometimes. It doesn't happen sometimes. Okay, let's get busy with this. Camera's on. Size ready to go. Can you see if I do this? If I brush here and slide along, I think you can see, you know. Here we go. Swoop the brush into the size. I'm going to wipe off back, wipe off again, and bend the brush so the hair is pointing down. Then, just let me do it and then explain later. And what I'm trying to do here is move quickly first, because it dumps this stuff, and then slow down bit by bit as I get to the end. And also keep the angle horizontal here. If I did this, it would just dump out all at once. Keep the angle horizontal, and bit by bit, I stand it up. And if I get both of those things right, slowing down a bit, standing up a bit, then the amount of size on the paper should be, should be equal. I was doing it last night on sheets as big as this table, and it was fun. This is paper face up. What is this liquid? Someone's just joining us. It's liquid size. It's water with a certain amount of traditional glue, Nikawa glue, mixed into it. Maybe in the West this would be called a bone glue or a hide glue. It's cooked up from animal skins and or animal bones. And the purpose of what I'm doing is to make the paper strong enough, physically strong enough to handle the stress of the printing. I don't know about horses. I think I asked Misawa-san about that one day. I had been confused about what it was made of. He said it was, Wanikawa. When I first visited the sizer many years ago, nearly 30 years ago, I asked him what it was made of, and he said Wanikawa. And I was just learning how to speak Japanese. And wani is crocodile, and kawa is skin. Wanikawa, crocodile skin. You make shoes out of that stuff. So I was stunned. Why would Japanese glue be made of crocodile skins? Were there crocodiles in old Japan? Wanikawa? What was going on? I was absolutely stunned by what the guy said. And he didn't know that I didn't understand what he said. He said it's Wanikawa, Wanikawa. And I'm like, crocodile skin? It can't be crocodile skin. What's going on? What kind of bullshit are you giving me? And we were really at cross purposes until I finally, the penny dropped. It wasn't Wanikawa. It was Nikawa. Wa is the old word for Japan, and Nikawa is glue. So what he was saying was Japanese glue, and what I was hearing was crocodile skin. And just, Anyway, it did finally, we figured it out between the two of us, or I finally understood what it was he was trying to say. But it was a surreal moment. Yeah, who's on first, right? So it's that kind of a thing, you know. Not as funny, but yeah. All right, the last three sheets here are, this is Sawaki-san's paper, the new paper from Corso Yard, and God, it's so, I don't know if you can see it. There's just no chidi, no marks, no defects, no nothing. It's perfectly smooth. Our testing so far, it just doesn't have enough strength, and we've chatted with them about this, and we think what it is this. The guys doing the traditional paper we get, they dip their paper and rock back and forth, and with also a side-to-side motion. And this makes the fibers really mat together in a really strong way for the paper we need. Sawaki-san, he's been making traditional Mino paper, and he says when they dip, and they side to side, gently like this. They're making large sheets for shoji paper. And it hasn't had enough, what's the word, tensile strength? I don't know. It hasn't had enough mat density strength. So he's going to try. He's going to try dipping and rocking with a bit more of a jumbled motion to get these things done together. So it looks good, it feels good, it's got no garbage in it, but it's just not simply strong enough yet. So we're going to try that today. As I said, I pressed it tighter to try and tighten that weave. Someone's asking who made the design for the owl print. It was Hiroshige. If you go to the Museum of Fine Arts webpage, it's the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, MFA, and if you Google Hiroshige owl, or not Google, but if you search on their website for Hiroshige owl, it'll come up there. Excuse me for not finding the link here, but just a minute. And for those who are latecomers here, this is the print in question here. This is one of the Doi Hunger prints designed by Tsuchiya Koitsu. We're starting a small production run of it with a new printer. Our young printer Yamamoto-san, who's been doing great waves for us, is going to have a go at a batch of these. He's not so sure about it, but I think he can do it. And this is the paper for his first test run. All right, there's the front surface. Now, if I try to pick this up and flip it over, it'll twist and warp because it's all stuck together because it's wet now. So we got to flip it over, especially when there's more sheets. We do 100 sheets or something. There's no way you can pick up the stack. Flip the cake. Speaking of great waves, any updates on my new prints can be ordered. I'm sorry, it'll be weeks away yet. Weeks away. Yamamoto-kun, the same boy's doing this. After he's done this job, he'll do another batch of waves for us. We can't ask him to just make waves and nothing else. The guy would go insane. So I'm sorry, we can't do more waves right now. So here we go. What I've done When I flipped it end to end, left, right. And I've got the flip stack here now in front of me. I had that tape on the back. So what's happening now is I came on the other side starting here and coming this way. So now when we put it back on the deck here to do the back side, I will be starting at the tail and running to the head. And this helps try and keep the moisture a little bit even, because no matter how good I try and get at this, that brush still dumps more water at the start of the stroke than it does at the end. So this is now upside down. It's going to go back on here one by one. Maybe I should put it here. Is there room? I'm going to do the back side now. And then, as I said, we have to wait 10 or 15 minutes before I hang it. And during that 10 or 15 minutes, I'll shut the stream off and move the camera. Yeah, there is a waiting list for the wave. If you go to mokuhankan.com/hokusai, there's a waiting list for the Great Wave print, and simply we put your name on it, and when it comes up again, we send the information to the next people in the list. But as I said, right now, it's going to be a month at least before they're back in stock. I'm sorry. The list isn't closed. The list is there. If you go to mokuhankan.com/hokusai, you'll see a link for the waiting list. It's not an order form. It's just a list to put your name on. We call you. We write to you when it's time. Yeah, there's no paper thickness. If it's done in layers, what if we alternated? Not we, the guy who's making the paper. It's an interesting idea. He's got his thing and he dips and rocks, and then dips. And if you rock this way, I don't know. All I know is that there is the way they do the rocking does very much affect the strength of the fibers, and the way the traditional Echizen paper is made is perfect for printmaking. And the way that other paper is made is not. And he's now trying to learn how to do it so that it is suitable for printmaking. Everybody's going to ask sizing 100 times during this stream. So. What's the question? Now, most of those prints will be going back in stock, spoken for, because of the waiting list. Will there be enough copies? What can I say? There is no stock of the Great Wave at the moment. Each batch, when we get a batch of 50, we first send to the waiting list about the first 70 people or so on the list. We send it, and maybe 40 or so of those order it. We've now got 10 or so left. So we send to the next 10 people, wait a few days, and send to the next few people, wait a few days. So we have none in stock. And as each batch comes in, we can't send the notification to the entire waiting list all at once. And how far advanced is it? I think there's about 100 people on the list, and we're getting the prints at about 50 each month. So anybody joining now, it's a couple of months. I'm sorry. It depends on how many people on the list actually do put an order in. They don't all do that. So I'm sorry to be vague. I don't know. We're just trying to be fair. I'm very sorry. It's a frustrating situation for all of us. We'd love to be able to sell more of them. More people would love to get them, and we hate limiting our stuff. We never make limited editions, But this one's just, it's got its natural limitations, I'm sorry. Can you see dipping? I'm not sure. I'm just dipping it in, fluff, 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 just down to about that level. I've got about that much size inside there right now. So just dipping into it. I'm knocking off on the edge. It's too much liquid, and I bend the hair back this way so that it touches the paper at that kind of an angle. And then, as I said before, move fast at first and then slow down. Missed that corner. How long did it take me to figure out the different sizing requirements for different times of year? We're still struggling with that. We're still learning. It's a learning curve. It'll be a lifelong learning curve for me because we're learning how to do it by ourselves. What the person is asking here about it, as the temperature changes and as the humidity changes, the mix changes. In summer, obviously, when the place is humid, the paper in advance is already full of moisture, so it needs less going into it this way. But also the density of the glue. Did I put one on here? Yeah. The density of the glue changes. In summer, the Niikawa mix has to go up to about 50, 55, or 60 grams per liter because the paper is inherently weaker because it's softer. And in winter, when our workshop is very cold, the paper is inherently stronger, so the Niikawa mix is going to go down. It's 44 right now. 44 grams per liter, which seems to be about right. We've been, the last few batches of paper, the printers have all said, okay. And the temperature in the room here right now is 13 degrees. 13 Celsius right now here. Well, here's the last 3 sheets. This is now the new paper, the Sawaki-san paper. My God, this drinks like crazy because it's such an open weave. You know. But smooth, beautiful smooth. Deep, rich. You remember, people remember the craziest things, the stupidest things, the funniest things. But actually, it's no joke, you know. If I get good, deep, rich sizing here, then the next step, making that damn owl, it's deep, rich blue color. They're the same thing. That good color coming in the prints absolutely requires good, perfectly smooth sizing. There's no way we can make good smooth color without this being done properly. It's one layer. I do front, flip it over and do the back. That's it, it's done. Front, wait a minute, back, wait a minute, hang it, it's done. Here's the last sheet. Missed that corner. I'm no good at this. Okay, brush goes into the hot water. This gets covered. I'm now done with that part of it actually. I'll turn it off in a minute. I'll put the leftover size back in the fridge. But that may actually be tossed out because it's probably going to be 5 or 6 days before I do the next batch of sizing. And we can't keep it that long. So this was leftover from yesterday. I don't think I can make it leftover too much longer than that. Now, what's happening next is this. I've got where's my plastic wrap here? I'm going to lightly cover this, not pressed or anything, just lightly cover it so it doesn't dry out around the corners. And I've got to wait 10, 15 minutes. If it was colder, I'd wait even shorter. If it's summer, I could wait a half an hour or so. I'd like to wait longer for the water to smooth out for it to become perfectly smooth. But it's quite cold here today. And if I wait too long, the stuff starts to gel and then the sheets stick together. And when I peel them off, it leaves a mottled pattern on the front of the surface. So I'm going to do this in about 10 minutes. And that happens in the next room. So as I said, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut this stream down. But it's not goodbye. I'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes in the next room. So yeah, I'll do 3 things. I'm going to move the camera. I'm going to go take a pee and go get a cup of coffee. So see you now. It's 8:31 now. I'll see you before 8:45, maybe around 8:40. Shut you off now. I'll be back in a few minutes. Stop streaming. Back.